Hello, Serge here from the back porch. Today I want to make a comment about one of the best thoughts I've ever heard about playing golf, playing a shot. And this comes from Rory McIlroy, the current US Open champion. As we all know, Rory had the lead going into the last round of Masters and had a very unfortunate round where he basically shot a high number, hit a lot of bad shots, and you know, many times golfers have had that happen, and it can be very traumatic to them and take a long time to come back. Well, it didn't take him very long, and I think it's because there's no doubt he's got a very good attitude, a very good mind, and he approaches things correctly. And he went into, after the third round of the US Open this year, he had the lead, and I think it was like at 8 shots or whatever, 6 or 8 shots. So he had a comfortable lead, but people have lost tournaments, majors, with bigger leads than that. And sometimes I think even in some cases they had that much lead after 9 holes and they had a collapse on the backside, coupled with the player who won it having a great backside. So you can, it's not bad, it's not hard to shoot 3 or 4 over par on the back 9 yourself and have with a 6-shot lead and somebody else go 3 or 4 under, and boom, you've lost by a stroke or 2. So one of the questions they asked him is, how are you going to handle tomorrow in light of what happened at the Masters? And he made this quote. This is from Rory McIlroy in a press interview after the third round of the US Open. He said, quote, "Lose yourself in that shot, in that moment in time, and think about nothing else." Phenomenal. That's why it's so important to be able to control your emotions and control your thought process. And when he says, think about that shot in time, is he's walking up, he's studying the trees, he's figuring out where the wind is, he's getting the yardage from his caddy. Sometimes you'll see the player do the yardage himself, and they co-check against each other, because sometimes it happens. I've done it, and I know pros have done it, and I know caddies have done it. I'm 150 yards from the green, and I walk off 10 yards to a sprinkler head that's in front of me. So now and I get my yardage, and instead of subtracting, I add yardage, and I take too much club and I rip it over the green, or you take too little club if you subtract it or add it the wrong way and come up short. So if they both do it, they're double checking each other, and so it's hard to believe that they'll both make the same mistake if they made a mistake. So they're doing over that. They're deciding, once they got the yardage and the wind conditions, where the flag is, and they're deciding where they want to hit it to. Because as you know, in many courses, especially US Opens and on the PGA Tour, they tuck pins in there. They're what we call sucker pins. You don't go after them. You have to hit them to the right. And then, as you know, on some greens where you have tremendous bumps and humps in them in the greens, almost like they have elephants buried in them or whatever, or tree stumps, that sometimes if a pin's over here, you can only get close to that pin by hitting it over here off the hill and it rolls down, because if you hit it over there, it's going to kick off the green. So you have to know those things. That's what you learn in your practice rounds. Those are the notes you make. That's why they're pulling out those notebooks. They write notes in there, and they keep track of every shot they hit in every round, on every hole, the club, the wind conditions, and everything else. So, because it's pretty tough to be there on Sunday and say, well, we were here on Thursday. Do you remember what we hit? No, they go right to the book and they got it. And that's how these guys play better rounds. Their caddies keep them. They keep their books from year to year. And so that's how sometimes, I can't tell you how many times I've been out with DJ in practice rounds, and guys say, that's a new bunker, isn't it? It's not on last year's chart. I don't remember that. Yeah, it's a new bunker. Or, holy cow, I used to mark from that tree and it's gone. Something happened, the tree got torn down, blown down, or whatever, and it's gone. So that's why it's always not really good to pick trees as your marks for your keeping your yardages. But the point is, they keep these books with them, they bring them back, and they go over them, and they're constantly adding to them. And in some cases, if they redesign all the greens, then they got to start over for what they know on the greens. But they're always good to know where the pins were last year and check out those spots, because they're pretty consistent in where the pins go back. So staying in the moment is a lot of evaluation that goes on to hit a good golf shot. Not just that the wind's blowing this way and it's 148 yards. So that's what Rory's talking about, because especially in the US Open, you can hit a green, go over the green and being rough like this, just because you hit the ball 5 yards too far, 3 yards too far sometimes. So this is I guess we could call it pretty scientific and pretty deep in checking out every shot, all the nuances about it in terms of the yardage, the wind, and where you want the ball to land on the green. And as I said, it's not always a straight line to the flag. Sometimes you have to hit them in other places. And number one thing is, in most cases, if it's a screen slope back to front or wherever the pin is, and if there's slope near that pin, you don't want to be above it on US Open greens where they're putting at 14 on regular flat lies, never mind what it's going to be downhill. So your ultimate goal there is to stay below the hole. So stay in the moment, do your calculating, and you're going to find that when all you can do is get to that shot, think about it, and stay in that moment and think about nothing else. Wipe everything else out of your mind, so that you can walk in thinking about you walking in and doing the correct setup, because the setup determines the motion. You get into that correct setup, and then you go into your swing thought that you're using for that day, in the mitt, up the tree, whatever, standing the club up, whatever it is. That's all you think about. Hit that good shot, make that good swing, and you'll be hitting good shots and shooting those lower scores. So let's play golf in the moment, stay in control, and you'll play better golf. Well, that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.